Yeah, they say that home is where the heart is, but he was heartless, ready and willing to kill if it covered up the darkness. Throughout his hardships he'd harvest the markets, for starve if he couldn't fill refrigerator departments. And from the start it lived in his apartment, regrets from the days when mama called him a smart kid. Outside a marksman, but on the inside he was ripped apart with numerous scars that he thought had far since passed. He drowned out all his sorrows at the bars hit, but he would never drink, he was simply content watching. One after another they all took large sips while he contemplated why his life wasn't honest. When he realized he was a product of all this and almost more afraid to give decisions a small glimpse, he had potential, decided he'd never farm it. To play the hand he was dealt, he'll leave with all the cards ripped.
Blind in the eyes of the mind of the man, from the time it began to the sign of the end. We resigned from the line, left to fight and began when the right thing to win's living life to the end. Blind in the eyes of the mind of the man, from the time it began to the sign of the end. We resigned from the line, left to fight and began when the right thing to win's living life to the end.
They say you made your bed, now you lie in it. He's tried sinning, driven to the edge without his mind with him. A fine prison if only he kept his eyes hidden, waiting for another day to hope to see the sky risen. But he was caught up with some bad men and fine women, looking up to people, deciding to take his time with them. Stuck out in the crowd, but hoping that one size fit, and walked away from family, releasing all ties with them. Feeling alone, but he learned to hide symptoms from fights within, lasting a lot longer than 9 innings. Convinced himself that it was just his brain trying to trick him. Stood up for the people, bringing him down. This guy's tripping. Instead he finds that these guys wouldn't confide in them, cancel fine wishes and drop them off as the light switches. He was lucky enough to leave with his life with him, kept his hat low, now knowing better to mind business.
Blind in the eyes of the mind of the man, from the time it began to the sign of the end. We resigned from the line, left to fight and began when the right thing to win's living life to the end. Blind in the eyes of the mind of the man, from the time it began to the sign of the end. We resigned from the line, left to fight and began when the right thing to win's living life to the end.
They say that home is where the heart is, but where will a man live if he's heartless? Struggled through life to leave his mark quick, but something was missing in his apartment. See, he didn't believe that he was a smart kid, holding regrets enough to break a tall bridge. Watched his whole life pass in a small glimpse, and now he was ready to take what he wanted. Even if his ideas seemed far-fetched, he would keep himself away from harm's nest. He traveled to lands he'd never gone yet, to find a place where his mind could finally get some calm rest. And he finally stood in awe, a new life for him to open and start. Cause if it's home that you're looking for, you can always build a home for your heart.